Yo boys, back with another video. Today we are going to be doing Rdruid, and I'm actually running Maldiva's Rdruid's build. So this is basically just a full out heal build, and at the time I wasn't using Swiftman into my regrowth, so my regrowths weren't hitting for legit nothing. So in solo queue now I'll be doing that, and I'll actually be able to push. At the time my regrowths were just max hitting for like 70Ks, and now they're hitting for like my NS heals are hitting for like 200K with like Mortal Strike and all that good stuff. So like no MS at all. They legit lay on hands, so like in threes, they're gonna instantly land, like top them off every time. So I'm gonna skyrocket in rating on that. But yeah, I just looked at a guy and I was like, oh man, I didn't even know. It was the same thing when I played Evoker Healer when I was like, dude, this healing does nothing. I mean, honestly, I still even copied the guide and it still did no healing, so I don't know how Evokers are even healing, especially like versus high pressure situations. But Rdruid, I think honestly Rdruid is the best healer right now. I think it's definitely better than Evoker, but Evoker's definitely like it's definitely S tier. Like Evoker and Rdruid are definitely the best. I think if you're getting spam purged, Rdruid can be bad. Like if you have, let's say, if you're facing a priest and like an Ellie or something that can purge, like double purge, you're legit just you're just not going to do any healing. Like they get CC on you and you don't have full hots up, they're just toast rubbing. But all you're gonna be doing is you're gonna save your cyclones for when your teammate either starts bursting so they can't peel. So like here, my guy starts doing some dam. Now in this situation, my guy should just honestly go full DK and because he's kind of running after the Druid. So this is like my guy's first games in a minute on this guy, so he has the good old-fashioned excuse of doing the most random stuff I've ever seen. But this guy's going in stealth. I see it instantaneously. I roar him out here. I cyclone him. Now, since I put a dot on him, it instantly breaks. But yeah, basically you want to save your Swiftman into a big regrowth, and every single time it's going to hit for a huge amount of healing. So like those Swiftman into regrowths, you always want to Swiftman into an NS and then a regrowth, and then you're going to get the maximum amount of healing. You're going to be CCing as much as possible. And basically, when the DK bursts, you want to try to cyclone him, but any good DK, like here, he probably could have just kicked me. So I ended up CCing him on his big heal here. So on tree form, he didn't get any. So this is where he doesn't get any efficiency. And at this point, we could have saved the DR Cyclone, and then we could have swapped the Cyclone instead of not being able to Cyclone because of the DR. I could have Cyclone then, or my warrior could charge Fear the Restored here. He ends up absolutely just getting soloed by Spear, and he ends up getting taken out. But yeah, I definitely enjoy playing Rdruid. It's a fun spec now. And solo queue wise, now when I didn't know the Swiftman that it did what it did, my healing I couldn't heal out the damage and it was ridiculous. So I'm gonna try queuing. Now I still end up going like 3-3 every time, but if you're at a certain MMR, it's like super bugged. So like let's say I was 2400 in solo queue and here, my guy ends up almost getting one-shotted, so he ends up getting 60 out right there. But yeah, with solo queue, let's say you're 2400 CR. If you're 23, like 90 MMR, and you win 4 matches, you'll gain 9 CR, but you'll lose. Like, let's say you only win 2 matches, you'll lose like 60 CR. So I think they really need to fix the MMR system because you can't expect people to go 4 and 5 and 6 rounds every single time. This is not going to happen. So like, let's say like I said in the other videos, my brother's he was 2090 CR, and then for some reason he lost 2 games, and then auto put him with like 1K CR players that are like max 1400 XP, and honestly at that point there's nothing you can do as a warrior. It's like you go in there and your teammates just get one-shotted because they don't know how to click buttons yet, and you end up losing just perma CR. So he's at a CR to where until they fix the MMR system, he can't even push because he's waiting like 40-minute queues. So he's probably gonna have to go arms and like just reset the entire thing. So I really hope they end up fixing the MMR bracket. I think everybody by now knows about it. So I could have dispelled the stun here, but at this point I'm trying to line his CC. Now he ends up having faster haste than I do because I'm basically stacking full mastery. I do have enough haste, but not enough to outcast him because Evokers stack full haste. And in the future I will have Evoker DPS. I have been doing the one shot lately. Now I want to wait until I have like full item level to actually get like the entire one shot. And I know there's a death bolt one shot going around, but I heard that they were banning people for using it. So if you're doing it to push rating or any of that right now, I probably wouldn't because you're basically exploiting and they're just gonna ban you. That's on like 99% sure. That's why I haven't seen any warlocks doing it so far. So I would recommend not doing it. I end up cycloning DH on his rest of his evasion. So then after it, I can cyclone. I tried to get a drink here. My guy instantly. So I told him to die by the sword at 70 or 60% while I'm drinking, and this guy he hears Dab of the Swords and instantly clicks it at 100%. So instantly with the warrior brain cells going in, he ends up popping damage on both of them. They're both taking unhealable damage. And I heard Mud saying, when I went to his stream, I think he's getting a little bit too biased because I think we all know what happens when 10.5 comes out. They're gonna be the best spec in the entire game. It's gonna be another Ret. And I don't think I think Ret Arms Warrior is actually in a fine spot right now. I don't think they need a buff at all. They're definitely A tier. They do not need a buff. So I don't know why they're buffing arms again, especially when Fury Warrior is just as good. So I think it's a huge mistake to buff it, but what do I know? So when arms he does get buffed, it is gonna suck because Ret Warrior is going to be the best comp that's ever been played. If that's basically all you're gonna be seeing in a solo shuffle, if that's not already what you're seeing as Warriors and Rets. But yeah, after that buff, you're gonna be it is gonna be terrible. I think it's a terrible. They need to be buffing classes that are like A, like not A tier. Like if a class is A tier already, it doesn't need a buff. Like Assassination does not need a buff. Outlaw wise, I think it needs a little bit of buff damage wise. I think damage wise for Outlaw, I don't know. I haven't played Outlaw, but it feels like it doesn't do anything. Like I have yet to face an Outlaw yet. But and then DH is in a fine spot. I think DH does. I mean, I definitely think it's still S tier threes and solo queue wise, but like twos wise, it's manageable usually as long as they don't randomly one shot you. And I do think Affliction Warlocks are at the point where I think they're a little bit overtuned, but not enough to where like their walls aren't too broken. Like in twos wise, the dampening's high enough to where their dark pack, like versus melee wise, it's good enough. But like if you're like a rogue or something, you're gonna have a hard time. But like I think Affliction is, I wouldn't nerf them enough, but I don't know yet. I don't know how I feel about them. I feel like they take enough damage to where it balances out. Like they're not tanks, so it works out. Usually they'd be a legit tank and they'd be unkillable, but now they actually can die. So like this guy is taking like unhealable damage the entire game because he takes the damage. Like my guy can go through his dart pack. So I think Affliction Warlock's fine right now. I think Demo Lock's fine right now. Now I think Evoker DPS needs a fat nerf. So right now, me personally, I think Evoker DPS, I think Ret obviously needs a nerf. So those two specs need to be butchered down to A tier, and then they're not completely one-shotting you on the burst. Now on the burst, them doing burst damage is fine. Like them 100-0ing you in a Hajj or in a stun, like in a 5-second stun, perfectly fine. If you have no CDs and you're dying in a 5-second, every class in the game right now, if they pop every cooldown on you and you have nothing, you should die in 5 seconds. I think we can all agree that you should die. That's just how it is. But there's a lot of specs that don't. So I end up almost tranking his fear. He ends up breaking it, so thankfully I didn't use my trank there. I ended up getting a cyclone. My guy instantly ends up destroying the warlock here. But yeah, Ret, Evoker, and once they get those two classes, down a little bit, I think it'll be a good game right now. I think if Warriors and Evokers got dampened, and I mean, honestly, personally, I honestly would take Warrior in that too. I think the Warrior meta is terrible. It's so boring facing Warriors 99% of the time, especially in like everything I play. Like in twos, threes, legit everything I face a Warrior. I end up getting a full Cyclone here, and I have the talent that basically out of a Cyclone he does a lot less damage. So I end up trinketing here. I end up using Ironbark. So basically, we stopped the Warriors' entire CC go, and all we had to trade is Ironbark and Trinket, which is a good trade. The reason is the Warrior can't really kill us without his CDs. That's just how it is for a Warrior, but that's how it should be. I mean, Fury does enough damage alone to if they're like they CC proper, like we get Trinket there from the Druid for no reason, even though the Warrior was at full 100%. And yeah, I think honestly, if they nerf those classes, now the 10.5 buffs are a mistake because now we're gonna have Ret, Warrior, and Evoker, and it's getting really irritating in solo queue when I'm just facing Warrior. Like if you legit get a DK, Evoker, Warrior lobby, or a DH added onto that as a rogue or any other spec, you instantly will lose unless you have the Evoker or Ret. And usually, and if you don't have those, like they're not on your team, then you instantly lose the game 90% of the time. Like it's auto lose because like you're just gonna get two tapped. Like imagine having a Evoker DPS and a Ret on the same team. Good luck. But yeah, I think they nerf those classes, and I think the game can be in a decent spot. I'd honestly even add on Warrior to that. I mean, I definitely like the DH meta more than the Warrior. The Warriors are just too tanky. Like, plates in general are too tanky. Like, let's be honest. At least DHs die in a stun. Warriors do not die. They just sit there and every game lasts till 90% dampening every single time. So it's like, for me personally, I like fast pace, but I don't like fast enough to where you're getting two-shotted 24/7. Like, I think the pace right now is actually pretty good. Like, on your burst, you're doing damage. Off of it, you're not doing that much damage. That's how it should be. Now they just need to tune down the damage when you're popping your burst on some classes. Evoker, Ret need to be butchered, like down to A tier to where they're not one-shotting you on their damage. Like, obviously they're killing you in that 5 second go, but they're not. If you use a cooldown, you're not gonna die. But and then healing wise, obviously we all know Resitor needs a nerf. I mean, if you look at my HOTS wise, like if you just look at my healing, we're at already like if you look at the dampening, like any other expansion or season at this high of dampening, the game would have been over. I end up cycloning the Weir and Iron, or when he gets low here, basically on all of his HOTS, so he's not getting any healing. I cyclone him again on his Swiftman, it looks like. So now he's not getting any healing. He ends up Thorns in here, and yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What else needs nerfed or buffed? It is pretty annoying for BM hunters as well. I think hunter needs a fat nerf on their, non-slow. Like they're basically like druids. They can't be slowed ever. So they definitely need to take some of that, movement out of the game to where like if you slow them, they can feign death it and that's it. Like they're disengaged, or maybe even, put their disengage to a higher cooldown. But like they need something to where they're not just getting out of your slows every 2 seconds, because you can never catch any hunter in the game right now. They can just run across the map at, 50 like legit mountain speed, and just you can never catch them. But we end up cycling the warrior here. Basically, I end up doing it basically on his wall. So all of their cooldowns so far have just been useless. Like on his whole wall, I cycloned it, so they didn't get anything out of it. I end up trying to drink here. So this is where this is kind of scary moment, because dampening's getting high. It's big dam here. He ends up kicking me. We really just need one more solid setup, and it's basically GG. My guy would just kill him. Like, we're at such high dampening that we're like the next sharpen burst skill. Like here, he should be dead with sharpen. There's no excuse. This guy has no wall. I'm trying to CC him here. So he should have died right there. Like at 30%, he should have been toast driven. Now my guy does have like 415 item level instead of like max here, and he doesn't have any set right now. So I think like once you'll be able to, I mean, I don't know why they haven't turned in the thing to where you can like exchange your conquest gear for, set gear yet. Because like I have no set on my rogue, no set on any of my characters yet, because like it's all vault. If you don't get it from the vault, you do not get it, and everyone else has it by now. Like outlaw, you get 20% more damage. It's some of the tiers are just crazy. Like you need it. Like if you have the tier on warrior right now, I think the weird tier is insane. We end up actually destroying this guy right here, pretty much making it a GG. And for the last clip here, we face a rogue. But yeah, the rogue actually ends up almost killing my warrior in the opener, which was actually like pretty nuts. Especially since I don't even know if it was death mark in the opener. We'll see here. So like this was a nuts opener. I don't know what he was hitting this guy with, but this was unhealable damage. So I try to cyclone him here. He ends up right. So this is no death mark right here. This guy's just doing unhealable damage. I don't know if he got a huge crit, but he ends up almost killing my guy. My guy ends up die by sorting at 10%. He ends up triggering as well. My guy ends up popping off here. Now he does get DR Cyclone, and then for some reason the Rogue has a good idea to blind the warrior like in later on in his DR, which was the worst blind. I think it's right here. He DR blinds. Terrible. So that was not a good blind. I don't know why this Rogue was doing so much damage. I think it's because he vanished on top of it for the extra crit. So at this point, our goal is to not get CC'd, and as soon as we know he's gonna CC us, that's when we're gonna Ironberg. He ends up stunning me here. I end up skinning. I probably didn't need a skin, but I skinned just in case, especially since skin's a minute cooldown, and I should be fine. This guy just stands here. I guess he was like, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. He was like, I think he was like looking for the button. I think he was trying to look for his stealth button on his racial to stealth eat, so he was getting it out of his spell book. I'm 99% sure he was doing that. And by the way, on your life balloons, you want to wait till 5%, and as soon as you see Deathmark, instantly Ironbark it, and you're going to use basically your spell that makes you basically get unlimited mana for that a short amount of time, and you just spam heals. This guy Cyclone's the worst thing you can do on the Deathmark. Basically on the max dam, the worst thing you can do. But at this point, it's basically GG for them. I mean, I don't have cooldowns, but either do them. So like, they don't have anything. We don't have anything. I have enough to where I still have my burst healing. up, so like if they were, I end up getting Cycle and he ends up killing him. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and let me know if you want to see more Wrestle Druid in the future. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace.